this job, working at this ice cream shop, and I mean, granted, it was a very low-level position. It was my first job. It was bussing tables and scooping ice cream, and I admitted they let me close to the cash register. I was like too young. But it was, again, the energy of even the team that we worked for and the friendships that, we would have. I have so many good memories of like getting out of work and just hanging out with like my coworkers at a really young age, and that experience, positive work experience that I had as an employee, it was very impressionable on me.
Good morning.
Buenos dias.
This is Emilio Chocolate. I have to say this to you, Emilio, but thank you for being a part of Melting Pot. I've been chasing you since last year. It
took us a while to get together, but here we are. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So, every time I walk past, I'm like, okay, do I indulge? Do I not indulge? It's always this state that I am in. But last year summer, every other day I was here trying out your different ice creams. So
thank you for that. Thank you.
Emilio, let's start from your childhood, your background.
Sure.
I know you're not originally from Spain,
right?
So.
Yeah, so I originally born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My family moved to the US when I was very young, around 2.5, 3 years old. They decided to go to New York first, in Brooklyn. They wanted a better life for us. They really saw the opportunity of moving to the United States in, the mid-'80s. There was a big immigration boost, and a lot of people were kind of looking for a better life. They were young parents with 3 kids. They had saved some money and made their way out to the US. And so from a very early age, my parents really instilled the importance of education, hard work. The focus generally was learn English, study hard. They were very disciplined, kind of like structured parents. We had a lot of fun too, but it was, they wanted to make sure that we would learn the culture, learn the language, because they knew that it would be a great challenge for us if we didn't. Yeah. But along that process...
Sorry, how old were you?
I was 3 when I got there.
Okay.
And I had 2 older sisters.
Okay.
And I'm the youngest. So from a very early age, we focused a lot on speaking English in the house, watching English programming on TV, and so on. Along that process, I left Spanish behind. So I literally forgot how to speak Spanish. By the time I was, in high school, my Spanish level was very, very low, very amateur. So I remember after college, when I was going out to job interviews and things like that, I would always write that I was fluent in Spanish. But every so often, the interviewer would kind of challenge that and want me to engage in Spanish, and it was a significant challenge for me. Yeah. But I was very fortunate. My career-wise, after studying in Orlando at UCF, University of Central Florida, I moved back down to South Florida. And just to go back, my parents later migrated to Florida from New York. After a few years in New York, they decided to go to South Florida. And so the majority of my upbringing was in South. And so ultimately, when I finished school, I decided to start interviewing. I was very fortunate. I landed an interview through a recruiting agency with what they said in the process was a very famous person in Miami.
Okay.
But they couldn't reveal their name to me. And I was like, this is wild. How am I going on this interview? I don't know who this is. They're going to let me know.
And what was the job?
Executive assistant.
Ah, okay.
So I'm in my early 20s, just out of college, haven't, worked in a fully kind of full-time position yet. And I go to this interview, they inform me of who it is, but at that point I had no time to prepare. And I actually didn't know who he was. I didn't know, even though he was so famous, I had no clue who he was. And he was a famous artist, Romero Brito.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting in this lobby of this studio in Wynwood, Miami, and I mean, this is like back in the day,
Yeah.
And there's like 4 beautiful women in this room. I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'8". I'm 5'8". And so there's these tall women, beautiful, and I'm like, I'm never getting this job. I'm never getting this job. There's just like no way. And not only that, I'm not even prepared. I don't know who this guy is. I know nothing about him. So, long story short, that actually worked to my advantage, and I got the job. That I didn't know who he was.
So I think it was this, because obviously those glamorous women were all prepared, and they thought that.
Oh, they were geared up, people knew who he was. They were kind of in that world of celebrity, Miami Beach.
Yeah.
And I'm like driving down from Boca Raton in my Volkswagen Jetta, thinking, what am I doing? I was super nervous, super nervous. But I got the job. And I think that at that moment I thought, wow, my first interview out of college, I land this really impressive gig that I was even surprised myself that I got without having, substantial experience for the type of job that it was. And man, was I in over my head. I fumbled the ball from day one. I had the CFO, all the executives, were there for a long time, just down every day. I was just I felt it was this battle between them and just being successful in my position. And they made it nearly impossible for me. It was very, very challenging. And so, I was up against them, and my relationship with Brito was really good. We had a great working relationship. It was very fulfilling, the position. And it gave me a lot of confidence. I think in that level of a position at such a young age.
And to be able to navigate, these external factors.
Oh, yeah.
And for you to find ways to overcome it, I think, most definitely would have given you a sense of confidence, and the fact, I don't know how long were you in that job for?
I was there for just under 2 years.
Okay.
Which seemed like a lifetime at the time.
The learning.
The learning was extensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember being in a lot of very new situations. Every day was so dynamic, and the days were long. I mean, I would go in at 8, and sometimes I would work until 11 o'clock at night with events and the different departments that we worked in. I mean, we worked in Wynwood, which was the studio, and ultimately that would transcend from the studio to the gallery on Lincoln Road in South Beach, to then a dinner, to then an event, and the nights would just roll, and the days would roll one into the other. So it was a very demanding position, but I did learn so much out of that, because I knew that if I could find myself in that type of kind of nerve-wracking, exhaustive kind of schedule, I could really do so much in the future. Because once I left that position, I found myself in a totally different direction. I got into corporate sales, working for a copier company, technology company, Toshiba, and that was the second chapter of my career that ultimately took me to much greater financial success. than that position as the executive assistant.
Sure.
So they were.
But I think the difference would have been, with that executive assistant position was a learning, which is a learning of a life. And your job with Toshiba gave you that financial stability. So I guess you had a combination of both, which is
Absolutely.
great. So how did Barcelona happen? I think that journey is something that I'm really interested to know about.
That was quite unexpected. So I, at the time, was living in Los Angeles, and I went to a wedding in New York, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm, in New York City, I get a message on Facebook Messenger from an old friend, and he's like, "Oh, are you in New York?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why don't we meet for a coffee?" We have a coffee. He tells me, "Oh, I have this business in Barcelona. We're launching a clothing line. Would you be interested in helping me with the sales division? But it's in Barcelona, so you would have to go out there." And he said, "I'll get your flight. And I actually have an apartment in the Champa, and so you could stay there, but it'll be about 3 months." So I said, listen, why not? I was in between jobs at the time. I said, let's go for it. I had been to Barcelona before, absolutely loved it. So I thought it would be kind of like a fun little project. So I came out here. I was here for the 3 months working on the project, and I met my partner. So
And how many years ago was this?
10 years ago.
10 years, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think that it was like, at the time, like a fling, a passion, being in another country, meeting someone that you really connected with. The energy behind that was really kind of intense, to say the least. But it got to a point where my project was coming to an end and I had to go back. And that moment when I had to leave was quite more emotional than I had anticipated. And I had never really experienced that type of emotion for someone else. And so, I went back ultimately, but we kept in touch, and we, ultimately found ways to find each other in different parts of the world, whether it be, a trip to New York, or I went for a trip to Argentina to visit my father and invited him to come along so we could kind of connect.
Yeah.
And within 6 months of that, decided that I wanted to come be with him and move to Barcelona. And so we found an apartment in Gracia.
Oh, I love Gracia.
So charming.
Yeah, it's really, really charming.
Yeah. And that's ultimately how I ended up here. I mean, it was just like a little bit of opportunity, a little bit of love.
And a combination of both. And so then how did the ice cream business come about? Because, you didn't sort of, when you decided, I'm assuming, to set up something on your own, why ice cream and not food?
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not quite limited to food in the future.
Okay.
As a young kid, my parents, my father had restaurants and cafes as a young kid. I wouldn't say he was like the best businessman in terms of the way he ran them, per se. But ultimately, like, I do remember as a young kid working summers and being together with him and enjoying those kind of like those moments.
Right.
In those spaces, family business, connecting with the public. There's a lot of like, hospitality lessons that I learned through him at a really young age, before I was even, legally able to work.
Right.
Just like working behind the counter as a young kid, just because, go to work with dad type of situation. And I think that as a young kid, I always had the desire of having and opening something that was around that. So when I came to Barcelona, I knew that I wanted to open up a cafe, a restaurant, ice cream shop, something around that type of energy. because I knew the amount of happiness that I got out of that as a young kid and what that could bring to, the connections with the public. I mean, that's where I think, it kind of goes back to, the old saying, like, where the heart of the home is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the way it just brings people together, whether they're friends, family, or what have you. And I just genuinely believe that. So I knew I wanted to open something. We have Barcelona is where I'm going to be opening it. And then the question was, where in Barcelona and how, right? How do we do it?
Yeah. And
the process is quite complex. I mean, once you understand a little bit of the dynamics of licensing and the way el ayuntamiento operates in certain areas of the city, you have to be flexible and understand that, there are limitations and regulations around that type of thing. So we adapted to our reality, right? We knew we loved this location. This is our first location. We knew we loved it. We used to live just a few blocks up, and it used to be a fruteria.
Yes, I know, of course. I live upstairs.
So, we also had shopped here a few times.
Yeah.
We just knew that it didn't have the energy that it deserved.
Yeah.
This corner needed something familial, something that is, charming, something with a little bit of energy, right?
And it also has a footfall of both locals as well as
the tourists, right? It's in a really good location because of that. And I think that really did work to our advantage, but we didn't know all of that at the time. I mean, I think that in the beginning, the first location, you're learning a lot. You're figuring out kind of like the process, and then on number 2, you're avoiding some of those kind of missteps that you took in the beginning.
Yeah.
But going back to what your original question was about the ice cream. So when I was 16, my first job was actually at a very famous ice cream shop called Gelato.
Okay.
They're from San Francisco, and they opened up a location in Sawgrass Mills Mall.
Oh, I must have
at the Oasis, which was this new outdoor type of shopping experience, which was very new format for Florida in general. And so I got this job working at this ice cream shop, and I mean, granted, it was a very low-level position. It was my first job. I was bussing tables and scooping ice cream, and I didn't even let me close to the cash register. I was too young. But it was, again, the energy of even the team that we worked for and the friendships that we would have. I have so many good memories of getting out of work and just hanging out with my coworkers at a really young age, and that experience, positive work experience that I had as an employee. It was very impressionable on me, and I think that the idea of ice cream for me is happy. It's childhood. It's feel good.
Yeah. And
I wanted to have something that was low stress, that could fulfill those young, moments that I had and bring them now to this new chapter in my life in one way or another. And even though we didn't have it completely clear that it was going to be ice cream, when we were doing the study of the location, because we got the store like that, it was such a quick, spontaneous decision.
And those are the ones that normally work.
Thank God. So it was very much, we saw the location become available. We just jumped on it. We came here. We were the first people to see it. the day I got a notification on my app that has the locations that are for rent, get a notification on my phone. I'm like home in the morning drinking my coffee. I see it, I said, oh, babe.
Let's just go.
The store, the fruteria, it's for rent. Oh, let's go call them. We called them that same day. We came and saw it. We were the first people who saw it. We said, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And we jumped in. And at that point, we were like, okay, now what? We just got the keys to a store, and we haven't even figured out like what is the process of actually doing something like this, like legitimately.
Yeah.
So then it just, you get into architects, historia, all the legal aspects of structuring a business and getting licensing for being able to operate in Barcelona, and it gets quite complicated. So along that discovery, we learned about the area that we're in. There's a lot of requirements that limit the types of businesses that can open, what you can open in a store or not, and so on and so forth. And so along that process, we started kind of discussing, well, if we can't do this, we can do this, and we can do that. We thought, well, ice cream was right there at the top of our list, and it was permissible. So here we are, 2+ years later.
That's amazing. And not just this store, I know that you've opened another one as well, right? So again, in the same, it's in the same vicinity, kind of.
Sure.
So what encouraged you to actually open another location?
So I think coming from a little bit of an American background in the sense of cultural drive, professional drive, there's this ambitious kind of, let's say, voice in the back of my mind to see growth. And so we wouldn't just want to open up stores for nothing. I mean, we really did want to make sure that they were in areas that it made sense for the public and for the neighborhood. And we found the opportunity. Again, this was also a spontaneous type of moment where we found a space that it was just the perfect fit. And so we took advantage of that. It didn't take a lot of thinking. We didn't overthink so much.
Because you'd already set this up and you knew that it was in motion and you knew that it was doing well.
Yeah.
So you already had a business plan, right?
Well, I mean, theoretically, maybe, yes, but technically, no. I mean, a business plan, I know the answer is no. I don't have a business plan, but what I do have is the experience, right? We've already knocked this out. We could replicate it fairly easily because we know what we need, we know what works, what doesn't work. And so, we more than anything, location is so important.
Yeah.
And when we found that location on that end of the city, we felt like there was actually a need. There really aren't that many ice cream shops down on that side of the neighborhood. So we did see the need. And our customers actually told us that when we opened. They were like, there really aren't ice cream shops on this side. So we were like, oh, well, then we did a good job. We actually provided a need to the neighborhood that they're even communicating that they needed or they felt like they didn't have.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a big part of it too. I think that you can try to say, oh, I'm going to open up 100 different stores all over town and this and that, and I guarantee you half of them are probably going to close down. But it's important to kind of assess and read the area to make sure that there is in fact a need. And I think culturally here in Barcelona, you see it quite often that you'll have like a bakery, panaderia. There may be 2 or 3 literally right next to each other.
Yeah.
And for us, we were like, gosh, why? I don't understand why you would do that. But they tend to do it quite frequently here. But we try to avoid that. We also, we respect our neighbors too. And we understand that each person that has a store, decides to open something, they have a family too that they need to provide for. And every time we see a new store open, we support them. And we want to see everyone successful.
And that's what, the whole community, neighborhood kind of bringing together means, right? And it's not like you're competing with each other. You're trying to make everyone's business work.
And the funny thing is that we didn't realize that when we opened up our store, people were coming in and comparing us to other ice cream shops, and we were just like, we just found it kind of odd that like people would come in and comment of our ice cream and other stores. I wouldn't even call them a competitor because we don't even look at it that way. We think that everybody has a space and everybody deserves success with hard work and passion, and so we didn't even consider it. But the amount of people that would come through and compare or even like write our Google reviews and compare us to others was surprising. We were like, apparently, culturally, gelato in Barcelona is quite serious and competitive, apparently, much more than we had anticipated. So they take it quite serious. They like a good quality product. They expect high standards, especially for a product that isn't the cheapest on the options available. So I think that it's just important to meet the needs of the customer and make sure that you're providing good quality products.
So how do you, because you have like flavors, right?
Up to 20 at a time.
You have up to 20
Up to 20 at a time.
Okay.
On the slow season, it'll be reduced. We the sorbetes, we reduce those flavors in the wintertime. They're based on water, so people don't necessarily crave them as frequently as they do in the summertime. So we limit a little bit of the menu in the wintertime, and then in spring, summer, and fall, we do have a full array of up to 20 flavors at a time, which is
So do you also, your flavors, are they influenced by what the people ask for, or do you experiment? How does it work?
That's the funnest part for me, at least. As the creator, like I enjoy that so much because I think that a lot of people they may not even know what they like. So you have to experiment a little bit. So we have a lot of flavors here that you don't necessarily find at a traditional ice cream place, but you still have to meet the needs of the foundation, the base of kind of flavor profiles that people like, the traditional, if you will. But we do have, I would say, anywhere between 6 and 10, which would be 6 to half the ice cream we're serving at a time. That'll be unique kind of flavor profiles, combinations that we've developed that are a little bit more unique or fun, if you will, like white chocolate with raspberries, mascarpone with figs con higos, which is it's my personal favorite.
To try.
That's my personal favorite, really? And you have to have it with our homemade cone too, because that's like if I'm gonna eat ice cream, that's my go-to.
Wow,
it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Or the avellana con brownie, which is a hazelnut-based gelato with pieces of brownie cake inside. That's one of our best sellers. And we're continuing to explore new, flavors and things like that. I'm Argentinian, so I'm greatly influenced by my culture, but at the same time, I think it's important to
which is why
stand out.
It's important to have.
Dulce de leche, yes, and I'm a huge fan of dulce de leche too.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God, I love it, but that's the one flavor that you have to space out. You can't, because
you can't change it up. You have to maintain it, and that's the thing. Like leche, we have one that we're we've been doing since the beginning, which we've tried to take it off the menu, and like our customers won't let us. The dark chocolate with orange.
Oh yeah, correct.
And like the funny thing is that like because we only had 20, so keep in mind that like there's a lot more flavors than 20 that we create, but you rotate, so that way there's always something fresh and new when you come into the store.
That needs to be a constant.
It has to be a constant because they won't let it go away. Like, I mean, you know, there's flavors like matcha, which come and go, and we like blend it into the different flavor profiles that we have as it combines really well with certain flavors. So we want to make sure that there's a good way to kind of like complement.
Yeah.
So like if somebody's ordering several scoops, we want to, you know, make sure that there's options that really pair well together. And we also train our employees to be able to communicate those types of suggestions so they understand and they taste and try everything too. But ultimately, it's really a fun process. And I think that like as we grow and kind of settle into the market, I think we'll continue to take more risks and introduce more products into the menu. Right now I'm working on adding a cake bar to the menu, which is kind of a little bit of a new concept for Barcelona. There'll be scoopable cakes. Scoopable cakes that are served hot or with ice cream.
Wow.
And so...
And you also do crepes, right?
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen some of the other ice cream spaces doing that.
Well, some do. I
haven't really come across any. I mean, I thought it was unique to Emilio, but it's...
Well, no. I mean, crepes are a very demanding product in Barcelona in particular. I think there's a lot of demand for it. I think you're right that not a lot of places offer crepes.
Yeah.
They're also like fresh crepes. So you have to understand there needs to be quite a bit of training involved in how to make a crepe. And I think like a lot of stores that open maybe don't want to take on that challenge of
training people
and preparing fresh products like that. But for us, it's been a great success and addition to our menu, the crepes, and now we do churros as well. So you gotta constantly evolve and provide new products and treats for people to enjoy, while maintaining your heart and what people truly kind of go nuts about, which is the gelato. I mean, I am so proud of like the products that we serve, the public response to what we've done has been so fulfilling. Almost every day we sit down, today even, and we're just so grateful, and we say that our gratitude for our blessings and how our success here in Barcelona, how it's really been like just a life-changing experience. All we really wanted in the beginning was to have something to be able to provide a comfortable life for us, and to see the opportunity and growth in such a short period of time has been more than we could have imagined. We're working now on the 3rd location.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a mouthful.
No, I mean, that's the whole point of this conversation, right? So one, I wanted to ask you about your next location, and 2 is culturally, and I think we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, that people in Spain and in Europe in general, and you did mention a little bit, and then I thought, okay, I'll take it forward during our conversation about how, how culturally people, like in the rest of the world, you don't have people queuing up at like midnight to have an ice cream, right? So what is the reason behind that? That's one. And then tell me about your the location.
So, as I mentioned, I think that culturally in Spain, we have a later eating hour.
Okay. Yeah.
People sit down for dinner around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And after dinner, I mentioned the sobremesa.
Yeah.
So we sit down around the table and we talk and we just enjoy the time together as friends or family, right? It takes you into the evening. Just naturally, like the time that you're walking out of a restaurant, or even if you're finishing a dinner at a friend's house or at your own house, maybe 11:30 at night. So you're strolling down the street and you want something sweet. And that's essentially what it is. I mentioned that my older sister has an ice cream shop as well.
In Florida.
And she closes at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're getting ramped up at 10 o'clock. I mean, we're just getting, well, we're not just getting started, but that's our rush.
That's your peak time.
We're going on the up. And, like you said, like you can have a queue well into, the early hours of the next day.
Yeah.
And during the season. So I think that culturally, like the public, and they just have a later kind of hour or they enjoy the day much later into the evening. And so to answer your second question on the third location, on this one, I think we're going to go a little bit bigger and a little bit bolder. Not so much in size, but in the essence of Emilio, the brand. I think we're gonna make this next location our star, our estrella, as they say.
But the first one will always
be the heart. It'll be the heart. The next one will be the star. And this will be the heart. I mean, this will always be the heart. We really like this store. We put a lot into this because with very little money, but just a lot of sweat and labor that we did ourselves, whether it was painting or like putting the mortar on the wall, on the decor, or wiring the lamps. Like, these lamps come with like maybe 2 meters of length. Yeah. We needed like 4.5. Yeah. So anyhow, we put a lot of work into this one. And I mean, we put a lot of work into all of them, but I think that you're right, that this one really does have like a piece of my heart. Yeah. And I was fortunate enough to have my mother come and visit and see the store, and she was so proud.
I can imagine.
Sometimes I have to say, I never really thought I would have like my name on a storefront. And sometimes it's like I forget that's there, and I notice it, and it's like a reminder. Yeah. That wow, like my name, like people, enjoy coming to a place that I built, that I created, and I get to share this with the public, and it is very much like you have this like it's like this humble moment where you're like, wow.
Yeah,
I did it. It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely. Wow. Yeah. And I have to say that for me, I've really enjoyed being able to, and it's also the convenience, and I'm sure a lot of the neighborhood would also feel the same, that it's the convenience of just walking past and saying, hey. And also because you're so consistent with your flavors, one is the flavors and two is the product itself, I think you draw people to come back again and again, that's one. And two, I think, the people behind the counter, very important.
They're the most important.
Yeah, I totally. And I think you've trained them so well. And, they're always smiling, whether you're a tourist, whether you're a local. There's always, because I guess that's...
Well, you're here.
And I'm here, literally. Yeah, I open the door and I'm peeping in to say hello.
Yeah.
And I feel that makes a lot of difference as well for people. Okay, not tourists because they won't come back, but for the people who live in the neighborhood, I think it's so you've kind of, I won't use the word package, but I think if you know what I mean, you put it together so beautifully and so seamlessly.
Thank you.
And I am not surprised that you're opening a third location, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can reveal which part of Barcelona it's going to be in, or is it still early days?
I think I should hold it. We're in conversations right now for the location.
So
we'll hold off. But very, very soon we should have an answer. And I think if all goes well, before summer's done, we'll already be open.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So good luck with that. And genuinely, I've had such a fun conversation with you. I mean, like I mentioned to you earlier, I know Emilio, the ice cream shop, but I had no idea, and I had no background on Emilio, the founder of this amazing ice cream shop. So now I know, and now everyone who's watching and listening will also know. So let's just quickly tell people who are visiting Barcelona where to find you, whether it's on socials, and the location of your store.
Sure. So you can find us on Emilio's Barcelona on Instagram, and our locations right now are at Muntaner 74 and Consell de Cent.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.